Good morning. Today is Yud Sivan. We are still in the 12 days of Tashlumim, that we are still in the process of bringing the korbanos of Chag HaShabuos until the 12th of Sivan. So the energy of Shavuos and Matan Torah and all the meanings of Sivan being the third month, which is associated with the triple Torah and with this tripled nation and Moshe Rabbeinu and the Baal Shem Tov and so on and so forth. All this is, we are still in the middle in terms of the functioning of Beis Hamikdash. They were full-fledgedly in the process of sacrificing all the korbanos of Am Yisrael today also, until Yud Beis. And we are on page Kuf Lamed Aleph in Shaar Hayichud of the Mittler Rebbe, and he should help us to learn Al Pi HaEmes, which is page 261, chapter 31, Lamed Aleph. We began last time by expounding a little bit about the fact that the unique quality of tikkun, meaning inter-inclusion of spheros, inter-inclusion of energies, that is made possible Davka specifically through the Kalim, not at all as much regarding the oros, the lights. And we explained that the lights themselves are like the world of Tikkun. Tohu. In the world of Tohu, there are no Kalim yet, and each sphera is in a way of a point. It's Nekuda Ha'atzmis, it's essential point. And therefore, there's no possibility of one light tolerating the other, because each one is absolutely itself. There's no room for another. And therefore, the expression in the Torah is Vayimloch Vayams, or Vayamas Vayimloch. In order to another sphera to emerge, the first one had to die. The previous one had to die. Vayamas, he died, and then Vayimloch, a new king. There's no escalalus, no inter-inclusion. That's the world of Tohu. That's the world of Oros, of lights. They do not get out of their, are not extending out of their Nekuda Ha'atzmis. What enables the lights to extend and spread out of their essential point, Nekuda Ha'atzmis, these are the Kalim. The Kalim create the possibility of inter-inclusion. Why? Because the Kalim mean there are many types and ways of expression according to the Kalim. In the Nekuda Atzmis, there's only one expression. But in Kalim, there can be myriads and myriads, Ein Sof expressions. But each expression is not absolute. It has its own parameters, and therefore, in some ways, the lights are more compromised in Atzilus, but in comparison to Tohu, Tikkun in comparison to Tohu, that the lights are infinite, each one. And in Atzilus, they're already spheros, they're already Kalim. Nevertheless, what enables Atzilus to be the world it is, which is called Adam Ha'elyon, the way Hashem expresses himself through the 10 spheros, this is the main quality of inter-inclusion, of iskalalus, of the spheros blending one with the other, to the extent that the light of chesed can be expressed through the keli of gvura, its opposite. And that is hodos and hodos lakelim, in thanks to the kelim. This is what we began to learn last time in Perek Lamed Aleph, that in that the kelim have a mila, a virtue, an advantage over the lights. And the more kelim, the more iskalalus. If kelim are different ways of expression, so what does it mean, the more kelim, the more iskalalus? More options of expression are a reflection or enabling more relationships between the spheres, more
merging with each
options
other.
of interrelation and of inter-inclusion. When we learned last time, the Rebbe brought also the inter-inclusion of the energy between the different organs. Before spoke about reflexology or acupuncture, for instance, that you can put needles in the foot and it will affect the brain or the heart, lungs, or something else. What is the eye? The eye is the keli for the koyach hara'iyah, for the power of seeing. The power of seeing is a spiritual power that the nefesh has, and when it comes to the eye, we experience physical seeing. So in who or what is invested in the keli, in the eye, the power, the spiritual power, koyach hara'iyah, of seeing. What is invested in the ear? The power of hearing. What's invested in the nose? The power of smelling. If you will try to intermingle those powers, they won't. The power of Re'iyah is totally different than the power of Shmiya, the power of seeing itself and the power of hearing itself. Totally different. And power of smelling. What shayach the power of smelling to the spiritual power of seeing? Okay, there's no, each one is themselves. And therefore there's no iskalalus there. Actually, he says kol kach. And that's why I don't want to say this. In the lights, there's absolutely no iskalalus, and probably it is connected to the hashkafa of the later Kabbalah in for sure Hasidus, which is called Oros Metsuyarim, Oros Metsuyarim, which means that in that case we are not holding like the Ramak. Don't connect it to Samach Bab directly, to the Ramak that says that when is the differentiation to different spheres happening? When the Or hits the Keli. When Or and Sof hits the Keli, then there's this sphere, that sphere. It's like the white light shining through red glass or green glass or blue glass. Each one will create its own light. Hasidus says no. There's already a potential tziyur of 10 spheros in the light itself, the shayach the world, in Or and Sof itself. Oros Metsuyarim. So in the Kav, the light that comes from the Kav, the Or and Sof that comes to Atzilus, there is already a tziyur, a certain tziyur, a certain form of spheros. And therefore, there is an initial shaychus between the Or and the spheros. It's not just because of the kelim. So therefore, I think that this is why the Rebbe says kol kach. Because the kelim are magbil, the light, so now the pashtus of the light, the manifestation of the light is not infinite, is not absolute, is limited. And according to this limitation, this is how much room there is for someone else. And the more kalim, the more limitations, the more definitions, the more iskalelus, the more room to others, for others. And then the Rebbe emphasized not just that the iskalelus is made possible mainly from the kalim, but the iskalelus is even made more possible from chitzonius hakelim, from the outer, from the nehi aspect of the keli, meaning not from pnimius hakeli, from the way where the keli battle to the or, from chitzonius hakeli, where the keli is expressed as in individual way and mashpia and manifests itself. Anything that can magbil the other comes from the a higher source, yes. So in other words, it's closer to Atzmus. And Atzmus wants inter-inclusion. Atzmus wants tikkun, wants to megale itself in olam tikkun, wants to megale Atzmus or Ein Sof. God himself wants to reveal it himself in olam tikkun, in a world of individualized, infinite expressions, each and every individual detail in creation. And mostly chitzonius hakelim. What does it mean, chitzonius of bria, of bia? Chitzonius of bia, there's no more chitzoni of bia than this world, olam ha'asiya agashmi. And dafka here, Hashem wants to reveal himself in the most concrete, outer keli kind of character, concrete, specific, individualized expression. Each one has to be absolutely itself and then become a channel for the divine. And you see that Hashem never makes two things the same, especially not people. Not even two leaves in the forest. He doesn't Xerox us, he could Xerox us. 10,000 me, 10,000 you, 1 million her, while him doesn't do it. One at a time. Dira betachtonim. Tikkun. So bitul doesn't mean to erase ourselves. That is the counter divine. Because a divine wants to be expressed through your individual self. Very connected to today's chitas. I don't know why I'm in the mood of bringing today. But in today, the Chitas Tanya talks about the paradox of the creation of yesh me'ayin. That on one hand, since the nature of our coming to existence is in a manner of yesh me'ayin, of something from nothingness, existence from non-existence, that obligates, that necessitates that the koyach haborer, the creative power, should be invested in the creation constantly. Otherwise, it could go back to Ein. It needs the creative power invested all the time, constantly. So there's a total dependence between creation and creator. At the same time, Hashem makes sure that we will not see at all the koyach haborer in the nivra. That we should not see at all this power that brings us to existence totally, every single second. Because if we saw it, we would be it. We would be our true self. What is our true self? Nothingness. Dvar Hashem, whatever you want to call it. Ein Sof. Depends how high and deep you want to go.
This is what the Yidden saw by Sinai.
And Parcham Nishmasam. They couldn't stay in their existence as individual yesh. They lost their their separate metzius. So Hashem Davka, his vision of what will cause him the utmost pleasure, that he is willing to invest all of himself in this project, is that he should be expressed the way he is in each and every individual of a yesh, the way we are, and one should not contradict the other. They should merge. That the yesh should not contradict the ein. That the yesh ha-nivra, the created yesh, should not contradict the yesh ha'amiti. Now we say either you or me. If you want to reveal you the way you are, I'm gone. Right? And if I want to reveal myself the way I am, says the Nefesh HaBahamis of the group, then Hashem is gone. So right now it's either you or me. Hashem has a very interesting taiva that he wants the you and me to be one. That you should stay you, but I will be able to be expressed through you. I, the way I am, says Hashem, should be expressed through how you are. How you is the way you are.
A relationship of a parent and a child.
This is also the balance, the so to speak contradiction between or need for balancing between a good parent or a conscious parent understanding that the individualization of the children is of utmost important and is essential to the well-being of their child. And at the same time, therefore, the parent wants to encourage the individual qualities, unique talents and powers and so on, nature and characteristics and so on of each child. And at this, even those that are different than ours, at the same time, there is a certain connection that we don't want to be severed, that it should go from generation to generation, the emotional connection, the value, the core values connection, and the connection all the way to truth, to Elokus, to our mission in the world. We want that to the awareness of God, of Kedusha, of what I'm doing in this world. We want that to be permeated and carried through the generations from child to child to child, and so on. But at the same time, it should be expressed through each one's individual vessels, kelim. And this is even expressed in the kelim of Yom, of what the keli of the energies of the 6 days of Bereshis, or the week of Bereshis, the 7th day of Bereshis. There's a Sunday and a Monday and a Tuesday. Each one is another keli for the divine light to be expressed in its own energy, way and manner and energy. Like Sunday is Inyan of Chesed, and Monday is Inyan of Gvura. But they are interrelated, they are connected with themselves, and one has the other, and so on. They're not, we don't have that, each day is a different world, and now we have to adjust, no, they are interrelated, but each one has a certain energy that dominates. And mainly Chitzonius HaKeli, where the most concretized stage is being formulated, the external aspect of the vessel. So now we have the last line in page Kuf Lamed Aleph. This is where we are holding. The last line, Ikar Bchinas HaIskalelus, which means that the conclusion we came to, that Ikar Bchinas HaIskalelus, the main aspect of inter-inclusion and merging and inter-blending, is done through the kelim, and especially through the outer aspect of the kelim, the most concrete. Now the Rebbe will present a question, and he will say, and Hashem should help me to see it clearly and explain it clearly. He will say that it looks like there is a contradiction to our observation, so to speak, which will not be so. We will come back to the fact and the truth that the kelim are the main inyan of Iskalelus, but we will make it clear like that after presenting a contradiction, a logical contradiction to what we just said. So let's see what the Rebbe is saying. אך הנה, you are in, after the two dots there. אך הנה, לכאורה יש סתירה לכל זה. Seemingly, there is a contradiction to all the above. שהרי באמס, because the truth is, מה שהאור, what is the truth, saying the Rebbe now? מה שהאור, next page, 262. מה שהאור יוכל להאיר בכלי היפוכו, the fact that one light can shine through a keli which is its opposite. The Rebbe always take opposite, which is most opposite in the spheros, Chesed and Gvura. They are the most opposite. Chochmah and Bina have different qualities, but they are not opposites. One is more complementary of the other, or different, but not opposite. And so too, let's say Netzach and Hod, they're not opposites, they're different, but one complements the other. The most opposing energies are Chesed and Gvura, and therefore it's the easiest to give examples from the most obvious contradiction that is lichora seemingly not possible. So now the Rebbe will present another theory why it is possible for the light of Chesed, let's say the love of the father to his son, to be expressed through the kli of Gvura, through the expression of Gvura, that the son wants to go play, and the father says in shul, no, stay next to me and sit down and take your siddur and daven with us, and in another 5 minutes then you can go. So that is a kli of discipline, of Gvura, out of which is really the light of Chesed, of the love of the father, is now expressed through the keli of Gvura. But now the Rebbe says there is another truth here that you are kind of disregarding, and that is the reason how is it possible that the light of Chesed should shine in its opposite kli, in the expression of Gvura, is מצד בחינת הביטול של הכלי לגבי האור, is because the bitul of the kli, which means the bitul of the kli, the submission of the kli to the light. Now, when you say the bitul of the kli to the or, what dimension of the kli are you pointing to?
Pnimius hakli.
Very good. Toch, Rosh, Toch, and Sof. So pnimius, when you're talking about we learned about what does it mean pnimius hakli, it's bitul to the light. Chitzonius hakli, it's ashpa, mashpia to the recipient, to that which is below it. But the pnimius hakli, it's bitul to the light. It says, lichora, why there is such flexibility that the keli can host its opposite and so on? Because the keli is battled to the light. והוא על ידי בחינת שם מה מלגב או מלגו. שורש בחינס האיסקלולוס באוירוס דווקא מצד הארס הקו חולו. So now the Rebbe says, why this inter-inclusion is possible? You claim that it's only because of the kelim and because of the chitzonius kelim. And let me introduce the opposite. that this iskalelus is possible because the kelim are in a bitul state to the or. If the or wants this, the keli will go this way. The expression will be this way. If the or wants that, the keli will go. The bitul. Why bitul? Why is this, how shall I say, all-inclusive bitul of the kelim, which correctly said by Fegi, pnimius kelim, the rosh of the keli, the pnimius, the chabad of the keli, it's bitul to the light. Why is this bitul so critical here? Because it comes from Shem Ma. Shem Ma represents the general bitul which is the shorish of iskalelus of lights dafka. Why? Because the aras hakav, as he says, because of Ein Sof. In Ein Sof, all spheros are inter-included to the extent that they are one, and there is no separation between one and the other. In Or Ein Sof, they are all one. There is no separation between one and the other. And Or HaKav is bringing down into creation Or Ein Sof. And mitzad Or HaKav, it's possible that there should be iskalelus, because originally in Or Ein Sof the spheros are in iskalelus, they are all one. And because of the bitul of the kli to that or, because of that they can act like one and cooperate one with the other and so on. Not because of the kelim, because of their bitul to the light. The light includes the unifying Shem Ma. Shem Ma is the divine relation that unifies all spheres together. Ma is the end of bitul. V'nachnu ma, as Moshe Rabbeinu said. We are what? And ma is the gematria of Adam. 45, which is tikkun, atzilus, Shem Ma. In atzilus there is iskalelus. So you can say, Kabbalistically, that why there is iskalelus in atzilus, not because of the kelim, it's because of the ara of Shem Ma. In atzilus, the name that is most prevalent is Shem Ma, the union of chokhmah. You said before, Fegi, chokhmah. Shem Ma. That's what shines in atzilus. What does it mean? Ha'aras hakav. Why is that important? Because the kav is revealing Or Ein Sof. In Or Ein Sof, the spheros are one. If Or Ein Sof, if there is a bitul to Or Ein Sof and the spheros are one, no wonder they can interconnect and interblend. So this is the shorish of this iskalelus, the bitul of the keli to the light. So you're saying it's the keli that does it, and not only the keli, but chitzonius hakeli. And I'm saying now, no, it's dafka, it's not, first of all, it's not the kelim, it comes from the light, because the original light of Or Ein Sof is one, and there all the spheres are one, and therefore now that the spheres are separate, they can still interconnect and interblend, because their original state of oneness, of in a unified state, or in Or Ein Sof. So their ability to include each other comes from the light, not from Keli. And if you want to say that Keli has a connection to it, it's dafka pnimius Keli, but not chitzonius Keli. The inner aspect of the Keli, not the chitzonius, meaning the aspect of the Keli that is battled to the light. Velezeh hatam, and if you continue this approach, you see this is contradictory. Here you say that iskalelus is being made possible because of the Keli. Now you say no, it's from the or that the iskalelus is made possible, and because of the bitul of the Keli to the or. If you continue this theory, which has truth in it for sure, velezeh hatam, for this reason, dafka bepnimius hakelim yesh iskalelus. It's dafka bepnimius hakelim, not בחיצוניוס הכלים, there is iskalalos. Meaning where the keli feels the light, not when the keli is concretizing the one single expression that's going to happen soon. וכמו הכוונה שבמעשה המצוות, שמסגלל בייס הפכים חולו, והיינו כמו עצמוס וגידים, מה שאין כן גוף המעשה. So, interesting what he's saying here. Like the kavana שבמעשה המצוות, שמסגלל מבייס הפכים. And it resembles, that is including two opposites. I'll give an example. והיינו, meaning כמו עצמוס וגידים, bones and sinews or bones and veins or nerves, whatever. We have the עצמוס, and which means the kavana, the gidim, which is the bracha, if you remember, and the basar, the flesh, which is the maise. Which is not so guf ha-maise, the maise itself. Meaning, dafka bepnimius hakavana there is iskalelus. Let's go back to the example of the father and the child. In dafka the pnimius hakavana, the intention of the father, there can be inter-inclusion. Because he loves the kid and he needs to discipline the kids at the same time. Right? So there is inclusion of two opposites. That in his kavana, in his intention, he is aware, in his awareness as an educator, not as a reactor to his child, but then as an intentive educator of his child. Davka in his inner keli, in the inner aspect, which means where you are connected to the kavana, the intention of the father, there could be opposites. I love my child, but I see that he needs to be disciplined. Chesed and gvura. In the maise, look at the end of the parenthesis, ma she'en ken gufa maise, which is not so regarding the action itself. Let's say, God forbid, the father concludes that he needs to give a patch to his son. God forbid. So in the maise itself, you don't see iskalalus. A patch is a patch. And it hurts, and it's one way of expression, and there's no iskalalus there. You don't see, the son doesn't see any iskalalus in the patch of his father. But if he connects with the pnimius of the father, he says that there is intention. He loves and cares, loves him very much and cares for him, and realizes that the son is out of control, and now it's time for a patch to bring him back to the right path. So you see what the Rebbe is saying here? That according to this view, the inter-inclusion is dafka from the pnimius, not from the chitzonius. And dafka from the light, not from the kli. And how is it, and why not, here is give us another example that dafka in chitzonius of the keli, you see less iskalelus. We said before, the davka in chitzonius hakeli, the external aspect of the keli, there is iskalelus. Why? Because more possibility of expression, the more variety of interrelation between the different talents and koichos and spheros and so on. Now he's saying the opposite. The inner you go, you can have more iskalelus. But in action itself, which is the chitzonius hakeli, you don't see any scholars. It's one way or another. You want another example, says the Rebbe? Malachim. We learn in chapter Gimel, 3, especially with the beer of the Paritcher. I want to say Zozan Gesund because it became so much part of our life. That Malachim are chitzonius hakelim. I don't know if any of you remembers. But we learned that Malachim are chitzonius hakelim. And what does the Rebbe bring here? That inter-inclusion, as we are saying now, according to this contradictory presentation, is mainly happening in the inner aspect of the keli and in the light, not in the outer aspect of the keli. You want to see another Example, not בחיצוניוס, not in the outer aspect. Here is another example. שהרי אין מלאך אחד עושה בית שליחוס. הפכים. One angel does not do two opposite missions. Each malach, each angel has its own mission. One angel cannot do the other angel's mission. מפני שכל שליחוס השפע בא מחיצוניוס הכלים דווקא, because each transmission and shlichus of shefa, of the divine flow, comes from the external aspect of the keli dafka. That's the aspect of that mashpia, right? שמביא השפע לחוץ, it's always the external aspect of the keli, of the vessel, that brings the flow outward or downward. כמו חיצוניוס הכלי דאוסיוס וחי גבנו. Like the chitzonius of the keli of the oisius. Letters. That when there is an idea invested in letters, all the reader, or in speech, all the reader sees are ink, black letters on white paper. And let me, I'm almost there, CP, ולכך, and so you see in the structure of Biyah, as we just heard Kriyas the Haftarah of the Merkava, the chariot, the vision of the chariot, which means to see the principles of creation, of the created worlds. The way the Navi Yecheskel envisioned, saw in his vision, that Pnei Aryeh Yamin Chulu, that the face of the lion of the chariot to the right with the chesed, and the face of the ox is to the left, is the inyan of Gvura. Lo yeshanu tafkidam. They will not change and alter their role. Velo yischabru la'achlif ma'asehem mizeh lezeh chulu. And they don't join together to change their actions from one to the other. Let me do your thing and let you do my thing. No, each one does his thing. ולכך, and for this reason, כל יומא בעבידתא דווקא חולו. Every day has its own mission, its own work, its own effect. Every day of the week. Because in Tohu, if you want to talk from the aspect of, Kelim there, because of the immaturity of the Kelim, and the not ribui Kelim, not ribui, no elat, not in strength and not in maturity and not in number, not in kamus and not in echus. There's no substantial Kelim yet in Tohu. Because of that, and I don't know what because of what, it's part of the process of the creation and the avoida in this physical world is the end of Shviras HaKelim. That in Torah, because the Kelim, there's no Ribui Kelim like in Atzilus, like in Tikkun, then there was Shviras HaKelim. The Kelim would not maintain the intensity of the light, and they broke. And there we have klippos. From that we have klippos in the world of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. Summarizing it here now, it says, here is the opposite, this contradiction to what you said before. What you said before, like Leah explains, the Kelim are Magbil, especially the Chisonius of the Kelim, each one said, Ad kan you go, until here you go, and you don't go further. And that leaves room for the other. And we have it. There you have it, Iskalelus, explains Leah. So now it says, no. Achayinyan hu, what's the summary of what we present here? משום דפנימיוס הכלי הוא מקבל מבחינת אור פנימי המוגבל בכלי. Because it is the inner aspect of the keli, not the outer, the inner aspect of the keli, that he receives and submits itself to the immanent, the or pnimi, that is defined by the keli, that is held, contained by the keli. וכאשר יש איסקללוס באוירוס, and therefore we are zooming in here on the pnimius of the keli, and since the pnimius of the keli is battled to the light that it hosts, וכאשר when there is איסקללוס באוירוס, in the lights, ממילא יש איסקללוס בפנימיוס הכלים. ממילא there is איסקללוס בפנימיוס הכלים. Naturally, automatically, there also will be איסקללוס in the pnimius of the keli, because the pnimius of the keli is battled to the light, כמו איספיילוס והסגוס מיכאל וגבריאל. Like the Hispilus והסגוס מיכאל וגבריאל. Hispilus והסגוס, more the pnimius of Michael וגבריאל. What does it mean? That why Michael and Gabriel can cooperate one with the other. One is an officer, Sar shel Chesed, and one is Sar shel Gvura. One is Sar shel Mayim, and one is Sar shel Esh. One is the officer of water, and one is the officer of fire. How can they niskalel one with the other? But he's talking about the Hispilus and Asagos of Michael and Gabriel, not the outer Keli aspect, but their Hispilus Vasagos, their inspiration and their understanding. What does it mean? That they are tuned in to the Kavana Elokis, to the divine intention, to the divine light. And because they are aware of their divine light, of the divine ratzon, of the divine intention, the pnimius, therefore, even though them as tools are opposite one to the other, but because they are tuned into the kavanah elokis, into the divine intention, they cooperate, they work together. I'll help you a little bit, you'll help me, even though we really hate each other. But we have a common cause that unifies. It's the pnimius that creates iskalelus. It's like, the Arabs always fight with each other. But there's one common cause that unifies them, the hate to Israel. I want to say also to understand them, but this will finish, that why also Malachim are called Chayos HaKodesh, holy animals. Why the Merkava, the chariot, is presented by animals. There is a lion, there is an ox, there is an eagle, and then there is a medaber, she'al hakiseh. Because that's the difference between an Adam, man, human, and animals. And animals includes malachim that are chayos hakodesh. Why? Animals have much more intense power than human beings. Human being doesn't have the power of an ox or a lion. But the nature of animals is that they have one quality. They have one nature. The malachim have one nature, one shlichus, one nature, one dominant. That's it. Human beings are a blend of many, many, many qualities. Everything is in the Adam. An animal, this animal will have this animal, this one will run fast, this one will be more smart, this one will be more powerful, this one will be more compassionate. Human being has all of it, all of them. And we are an image of Adam HaElyon, of Atzilus, of the divine supreme man, which is, how shall I say, typified and unique with its quality of inter-inclusion. In a Maimar makes it even more interesting and more focused that you know, we are basing all hashkafa on the Midrash Nis'ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lios Lo Yisbarach Vira B'Tachtonim. That Hashem has a taiva, a desire to have a home in the lowest world, lowest realms. And so it's all about, not about reason and logic, it's about desire. It's about tainug. The Rebbe talks about two stages or two types of tainug. There is a tainug of Maaseh Bereshis. There is a tainug in the process of you doing something. Let's say you are making a painting, or you are designing a curriculum, or you made a special video, you created a special video, or you arranged a song into a musical, you know, with musical instruments and arranged a song, and now it's playing on the radio or on the whatever, on the computers. So there are two types of tainug here, and one is way higher than the other. One tainug is the tainug of you doing it, how you are creating it. There is a tainug of creation. But then, and that tainug is correlating to who you are and what your talents are and how you express yourself. It's all connected to you and how you manifest yourself. Then there is another tainug. There is a tainug after the thing is done, and you look at it, or you know, the one that arranged the music, the song into a musical arrangement, now he listens to it on the radio or playing somewhere. It's like, it's not about him anymore. It's the way it came out of him, and it's now impacting the world. It's like, so here, or the one that looks, he goes into a museum and he sees his painting there. And this is like a mashal to understand the divine pleasure after the whole process, so to speak, of creation, as said Ishtalshelus, creating this physical world, and in connection to what you're saying, Tzipi, you know, all the way down to the physical expression of Sof Maaseh b'machshava tchila. Allah b'machshava, even higher than the whole process of creation. It evokes a tainug that is beyond oneself and one's koiches. So as you say, to integrate it and translate it, lemaisa b'poal, means how we think and how we talk and how we act and what we do as a result. It's the best channel to bring Or Ein Sof down here.